How's it going? How's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I am doing my first Halloween live stream. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Donald Pleasance, Ellie Cornell, who gets killed off fairly quickly in this movie. Her character does anyway. Rachel Carruthers. Um, Danielle Harris, very young Danielle Harris. She's amazing in this movie, by the way. I love how. Here's a question for anybody. Have you ever seen The Great Silence? Go watch it. When I watch Danielle Harris's character not be able to talk, it makes me think of that movie in a way. Because Silence doesn't talk, he's mute. He writes, But and actually Danielle Harris's character ends up writing or drawing on a board, draws the dog's mouth, Bax's mouth, which I love. I love how they do that. I figured where to start with this, because it's easy to start from the beginning, and I do want to start there. But I want to talk about something that has been discussed throughout this movie among the fan base. Should Danielle Harris's character, Jamie Lloyd, should she have been the new killer? Should she have replaced Michael Myers? And I've watched Halloween 5 so many times, I've lost count, And as I'm watching the movie, and when you're going off Halloween 4, obviously, like they are, you know that Jamie Lloyd wore a clown costume. Now, for all intents and purposes, if they did have an idea of making Jamie Lloyd the killer, honestly making Danielle Harris's character the killer, if they did have that idea, I don't think they're going to use a clown costume. I think they would have used, I don't think they would have used the Michael Myers costume either. I think in many ways she'd have been her own killer. Now, I don't know what costume they would have used. I know what I would have liked to see, and I guess that's my first question, though I have no one in here. What would you have liked to have seen, if they did do that? I would have loved to have seen, Danielle Harris's character not talk, not say a word. And you notice when you see her eyes, how dark they are and how innocent they look. Well, take those innocent eyes and make them cold and look so empty. And Danielle Harris is an actress who could do this, even at a young age. And I would have her standing in the mirror. She would be dressed in a black cloak. And I would just have her take her hand. And you would see this white face paint start to go across her face. And she would paint her face white. She would be death. And to me, could you do it another way? Sure. I think there's a lot of costumes you could use on Halloween, especially for scary, But they didn't go that route. And I don't blame them. I think that when John Carpenter wrote Michael as a killer as a young boy, I don't know, it felt a lot different, at least from my standpoint, than a Jamie Lloyd doing it. And I don't know why I feel that way. I just do. And by felt different, I want to clarify this. When you watch Halloween 4, the end of it, and you watch her stab her stepmother, that's another big difference too. I think there's so many differences between a Jamie Lloyd and a Michael Myers, and what and how it happened, right? The what the what or who, if you will, of who they're killing or attempting to kill. Michael attempts to kill his sister, and he doesn't just stab her in the once, or stab her in the shoulder. He stabbed her in the body. He stabbed her in some place he knows is gonna kill her. And when that happens, he's just walked after he's done. He just walks away. With Jamie Lloyd stabbing her stepmother, that's another big difference for me. You're not really look. I know how some people view stepsister, stepbrother differently, and I understand that. But how I view it is, they're not really related to you. They're just your adopted family, you know, and they aren't. That's not her blood mother. That's not Laurie Strode running that bathwater. And I'm not taking anything away from Halloween 4, mind you. But once she stabs her stepmother, I'm sort of wondering if that's a part of why she's unsuccessful. Because this isn't somebody who's blood related. But the event does traumatize her as a little girl in Halloween 5. And she's mute, she's not able to talk. And it's really, really good. I love that. Now, I know a lot of people don't like, some people don't like this movie, and I love it. I'm going to point out the really good things and really the similarities between Halloween 5 and the original Halloween. Because the one thing I constantly hear about this movie and the sequels is, oh, they got so far off from the original. Not really. That's not true. What happens in the original? Michael Myers stalks Laurie Strode. He stalks her friends. He stalks Tommy Doyle. Um, he stalks the people that Laurie Strode is involved with. And Laurie herself, right, in the original. So with Halloween 5, what you have going on is, once Michael is healed up by the man down by the river, we'll say, Michael kills him, and then he starts stalking Rachel Carruthers. And the crazy part about this is Jamie can sense it. It's really dark that you have this kid who can sense what's going on but can't really speak. She can write, but in many ways she's so paralyzed with fear of him, she just can't. She can't bring herself to speak. She wishes she could. And you see Michael stalking Rachel. Michael following her around in the house. Now, a lot of people don't like the fact that they killed Rachel Carruthers. I'll say this. Halloween 5 is going for a big main character death. And, we see a lot of horror sequels do this. I mean, keep in mind, this is the 5th installment in this franchise. Donald Pleasance's character, Sam Loomis, is still alive, obviously. There's been characters killed off in 4 that were introduced, like Kelly Meeker. But from a main character standpoint, the only character we hear that's been killed or died in an accident was Laurie Strode. And you could debate whether that was real or not with the whole dream thing. But that's what we hear in Halloween 4. Now, with Halloween 5, you have Rachel Crothers, who was the main protagonist in Halloween 4. She protected Jamie. She fought for Jamie. She's being stalked. Again, somebody Jamie knows, right? Tommy Doyle is somebody Laurie knows. Annie is somebody Laurie knows. Linda and Bob are two people Laurie Strode know. And when you have that and you look at Halloween 5, you go, they're trying to make sure they keep the formula from the first one. And I think they do a really good job here. Here's Michael stalking Rachel, and he stalks her in the house, and finally ultimately killing her. Here's my only issue with this. It's not the fact that you kill a character. I don't think that's the problem. I think a lot of times with murdering a main character or murdering a character people love, it's the execution of it. It's how it's done. And Rachel being killed in the house, it's symbolic. But at the same time, she not only should see it coming, she sort of does in a way. There's a moment where Ellie Cornell's character, Rachel Carruthers, is talking to Donald Pleasance, and she says, why do I feel so bad about wanting to leave, or being afraid? And Pleasance is telling her there's nothing wrong with it, but she still feels bad. She doesn't want to leave Jamie. So we're getting the sense that Rachel is contemplating staying, and is at least tore between staying and going. And she watches the door be open. The dog's not there. She's very creeped out as she's backing up toward the phone. You see Michael sort of walking toward her. Again, they're having Michael stalk her, but I also think, does the character's credibility take a hit here? A bit. Yeah, you're setting her up to be killed anyway, but it does sort of make the character look a little foolish. Because, this is only a year later. The events are only happening 1 year later. She should see this coming. And like I said, in a way, she's sort of sensing something's off when Max goes out. But then it's explained away like, oh, he got this squirrel. He's got this squirrel in his mouth. And when the two cops find him. And later on, when she's in the hallway, she hears something break. Well, you've been in this house by yourself this whole time. When something's breaking, why are you going to investigate it? Why would you even bother? Why wouldn't you just go out the house? And I kept asking myself this. The setup is not the greatest thing. But I think what they're really trying to do is that what the cinematographer and Ellie Cornell's character Rachel is trying to do is it makes you feel like that fate is pulling her down that hallway. And part of me gets that, but because Halloween's always been about fate as well. But when you do something like this, again, I don't mind her dying, her character being killed off. Every fictional character eventually gets killed off, right? For the most part, especially in a horror movie. And you have this moment of when she's in the room, she sees the picture frame, it's broken. And then when she looks up, she sees Michael, and he's alive. And he kills her. He stabs her in the aorta. So they've made the decision now to kill Rachel Carruthers. Do I love how they did it? No. But here's why I applaud them doing it, though. Because they didn't pull back. It's so easy to pull back on something you know is going to piss people off. It's so easy to second guess yourself on a story. But they don't here. They just say, take it or leave it. It's a bold move. When Hawkins got stabbed in the neck in 2018 by Sartain and then run over, by all intents and purposes, the character should have been dead. But because the character became popular, they pull back and, he's alive miraculously. I hate that kind of chicken shit writing. I do. Because you're letting your audience dictate what you're doing. You're not letting you dictate what you're doing. You're not letting the story dictate it. You're letting the audience dictate it. I think that's something the sequels never did. The sequels never let the fans or the audience dictate what they were doing. They just did it. They wrote the scripts and they shot the movies. At least that's how I feel about it. With Halloween 5, Rachel gets killed off. Is Tina a final girl? That seems to be a question that gets asked a lot. And I'm going to give you my thought. No, she's not. She is a character. In Halloween, you meet characters who are a part of the story and are going to help move the story along. Yes, they have something to do with the story. They have something to do with the other characters that are in the story, especially the main character. Because now, really, the main character isn't so much Tina as it's been Jamie Lloyd the whole time. It's just Jamie Lloyd. They're not letting Danielle Harris talk because she's supposed to be mute. She can't talk. And finally, she comes around and does actually break free and talks. Here's Tina. We always see characters in the Halloween franchise that have different viewpoints about the Michael Myers situation. Yes, a lot of the town do fear him. That's premised with the brick through the window in 5. That there are people who not just fear him, they fear her because of what she did to her stepmom. And so they do still fear Michael Myers to a degree. But there are also those in the town of Haddonfield that, what the hell with the boogeyman? Let's just live a normal life. The hell with Michael Myers. They don't focus on that aspect. They don't focus on him so much. And you meet a character like that, and here's the thing. Tina Williams is not an uncommon character. Let me give a great example. Is Bud, the ambulance driver, is he really focused on Michael Myers? No, he's really not. He's more focused on banning the nurse in the hot tub. Oh my God. And he really is. He just wants to bang Karen, the nurse. In the hot tub. And he even says that it's Michael Myers crap. And to him it is. It's like, okay, so what? That doesn't mean he's coming here. And that's how he sees it. So you meet characters who are just trying to live their life. That's my point. And really, That's Tina. Tina's just trying to live her life and be there for Jamie. But at the same time, what you see from Tina is, as she's dancing around with the dress, them showing her and Rachel showing Jamie the dress, she's trying to make Jamie smile, and she does. She helps make Jamie smile. She wants Jamie to live a normal life despite the Michael Myers nonsense. To her, it's nonsense. To her, it's like enough of the boogeyman bullshit. She even says to Pleasance's character, Sam Lewis, you fill her head with all that boogeyman stuff. She's just a kid. And that's how Tina sees Jamie. Hey, she's just a little girl. She's just a kid. She should, in Tina's mind, what I gather is Tina wants Jamie to, be able to be a normal kid. And so she treats her as such for that part. Where Tina's most happy is when Jamie says her name. Now, are there other characters in this? Yes, obviously Donald Pleasance, Dr. Sam Lewis, but Sheriff Meeker returns in Halloween 5. It's beautiful. I think Ben Meeker is my favorite sheriff ever in Halloween. Bo Starr, my God, he was actually on television throughout the 80s. You could catch him in pretty much anything. I know he was on an episode of MacGyver as a villain, actually, which is fun. So, but with this, obviously he's returning as Sheriff Ben Meeker. We know Kelly Meeker, his daughter's been killed in Halloween 4. And, when Pleasance comes to him, he says they found a cop about her whole body was shaking. That's what he tells Ben Meeker. Well, he goes, every time a little girl twitches, I'm supposed to call it the National Guard. And he tells him, how many people did he kill last year? Your own daughter, did you forget? And he turns, no. He goes, of course he didn't forget. So there's a great conversation between Brackett and Loomis. And that's where the cop comes in. He tells them, hey, they found a coffin. A coffin for a 9-year-old girl has been dug up. So Michael digs up this coffin. Now, we have all these things going on. So the story isn't just told from Tina's standpoint. It sort of arcs back to one. The story isn't just told from Donald Pleasance's standpoint. It's told from Laurie Strode's standpoint. We get a little telling from Annie's standpoint. We get a little telling from Linda and Bob's standpoint. Halloween has always been, you hear from everybody. So we heard from Rachel up until her death in part 5. We've heard from Jamie Lloyd to a degree. We've heard from Donald Pleasance's character, Dr. Sam Loomis, to a degree. We've heard from Bo Starr's character, Sheriff Ben Meeker, to a degree. So who haven't we heard from? We somewhat hear from Spitz and his girlfriend. I forget her name. But Tina's best friend is staying over the Carruthers house with Tina. But they're all going to the Tower Farm for this big party, this big Halloween party. And before all that happens, there are several moments between Tina and her friend where there's this big moment where they're near the hospital. And you see Michael in the background stalking them. And again, it's a great scene. So Tina's boyfriend, his name is Michael, and he's driving this car. And she hollers for him. He says, "What?" My wife's favorite part of this movie is the car. She loves the car. Oh god, that and everybody loves Michael getting killed off. Everybody loves Tina's boyfriend getting killed off. I don't think nobody cried a tear at all. So there's that. And you see Tina and her friend go up to the car, and they're getting into the car, and Tina's friend reminds her of Jamie. Like, what about Jamie? And Michael's like, "You're killing me, babe." And she's like, "Well, we can go visit Jamie later, right, Michael?" And Michael is silent. Michael seems very annoyed at this notion. He doesn't really care about any of it at all. Again, another character who's way more intense about the thing. He just does not give a shit about anybody but himself. And you'll often meet self-centered characters in stories. Even in horror movies, they're just characters who are self-centered and they think about only themselves. And that's Michael in Halloween 5. That's Tina's boyfriend. And so later on, during the daytime, you see Michael still stalking Tina and her boyfriend and Spitz and Tina's friend. And they're outside. And Spitz says, "Hey, you want to pull around back or do you want to get busted out here?" And because Spitz is getting beer from the store and he doesn't want the cops to see he's taking beer without paying for it. And at least that's my interpretation. Now, we don't see him not pay for it, but so Spitz pulls around back after the cops go by and he flips them off. Michael, Tina's boyfriend, flips him off. And Spitz puts the beer in the trunk and shuts. Don't drink it all. Yeah, don't drink it all. Michael's not going to get the opportunity here. Not, again, one of the best kills in this movie. Like, I think this is everyone's favorite. I'm pretty sure it is. But to the two people who are in here, what is your favorite kill? Now that I look up, been talking. So here's Michael Myers. You see Michael in the car, Tina's boyfriend, checking out his face, popping a pimple. He takes the garden small hand rake to the car, and my God, he gets pissed and he grabs this tire iron or crowbar, whatever you want to say. He tries to hit Michael. Michael just grabs him by the throat, shows him, like, "Yeah, see this, bam." And Michael's dead instantly. TKO, technical knock. Again, cool scene. So now Michael Myers has Michael's car, has Tina's boyfriend's car. Tina doesn't know. Right before all that, Tina gave Michael a mask, a brute mask, or what we call the brute mask. Michael switches his white mask to the brute mask so Tina does not suspect. And really, I love what the writers and cinematography do here. You notice what Michael's wearing? Black gloves to cover his burn marks. Really, really clever. You see the gloves, you see the steering wheel. It's so minor, but yet it's so important storytelling. Because if Tina sees the burn marks, game's up, you know? No, I'm sure Michael would have choked her before she got out the car, but still. But again, you're keeping up the illusion that you're Michael. I alluded to this with Halloween Ends. When you look at that moment of Halloween 5, and Michael is posing as the boyfriend, Tina does not know that that is Michael Myers in that car, and she shouldn't. Okay, when Corey Cunningham goes back for the Myers mask, why are you really going back for that? for my money, you're going back for the anonymity. You're going back so people, even if you slip up and let someone live, people are going to blame who? Michael Myers. It gives Corey that anonymity, not knowing that it's him. But they never really play up to that. With Halloween 5, you, the audience, can see that, hey, that's Michael, and she doesn't know she's in danger, right? And I would say Tina was in danger more so than what Andy Matichek was. I don't think Corey was killing her. He was getting laid. But so they're in the car, and Tina's like, once he finally opens, unlocks the door, and she gets in, she's like, Michael, and he's not talking. And we know it's Michael Myers. She doesn't, and she's sort of getting annoyed. Then she gets mad, and she goes, "Really, Michael? The silent treatment? Is it because I want to see Jamie?" Now, I've always looked at that. Go, this argument must happen often enough, or has at least happened before. Again, Tina Williams is not a final girl. What you're ultimately getting is something we've somewhat got in Halloween in the original, and something we got in Halloween 2 and Halloween 4. We usually do get part of the victim's story. The biggest difference with 5, I would say, is you're getting a little more of it. Because again, a main character's been killed off. Well, now you have to go after somebody the main protagonist, Danielle Harris is playing, Jamie Lloyd, cares about. And once that happens, once Michael, goes out, starts stalking Tina, starts stalking her friends, who sees this? Who can sense this is happening? Danielle Harris's character. This movie's called Halloween: The Revenge of Michael Myers, and that's exactly what it is. Michael, in every way, is trying to get Jamie to come out of that hospital and come to him. The same way Michael got Laurie out of that house and across the street. Not the exact same way, but similar enough. Where Laurie receives a phone call from her friend, and here's all, it's just, they're moaning, they're squealing for sex, and then you hear breathing over the phone, and then you see the lights. She figures now a prank's being played on her in the original. When you look at 5, the difference is you have Jamie Lloyd, who can sense Michael, what he's doing, and can do nothing about it. When Tina comes back to the hospital where Jamie Lloyd's character is staying, she says her name because she said, "Hey, Cookie Woman." That's Phil's gas station, 5th of May. My God, you could tell Haddonfield's a small town. Haddonfield, the smallest town ever. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, yeah, my wife's from a small town. I live in a small town. There's nothing wrong with small towns. They're very, very nice. But you have this moment of joy and happiness between Tina and Jamie. And I love the scene where Michael's in the car, he changes mask, and once she looks over and sees the car's gone, she's like, "Oh, figures." She's like, "Oh, gee, that's nice. You just get on out of here because the cops are here." Oh my God. But you have this great moment of two people hugging and caring for one another. And she says, Tina, she goes, well, let me hear it again. Here's where finally Jamie Lloyd can speak. And she says, don't go. He's with you. And who? The boogeyman. Yeah, that's one word for him. Again, this goes to show Tina does not worry about Michael Myers. She does not let Michael Myers control her life. Because for her, it's not a part of her life. Tina, in every way, is a woman who is being stalked to be murdered. She fits the bill. She fits every. When you look at how Annie gets killed, when you look at how Bob gets killed, when you look at how Linda gets killed, when you look at the Halloween 2 murders, the Halloween 4, it's somebody who's not worried about Michael Myers that gets killed, or somebody who's not really paying attention to what's going on around them. Is Tina really? The one time she does, the only real time Tina does is when she looks back at that window and she sees Michael. Or sorry, she doesn't see Michael, but he's watching her. And when she looks back, she feels somebody's watching her. She looks back, no one's there. This never happens. This never happens where she's looking back at a window. But there's moments in the barn where when Tina's in the barn, a cat's kicked at her and she's looking in the darkness and she goes, I hate cats. She's sort of creeped out by it, but she doesn't do anything about it. She doesn't. And we see where we see Michael, but they think it's Spitz. Again, there are moments in Halloween 5 that are just pure terror, terrorizing moments. And once Tina finds all her friends dead, finds Spitz, finds her girlfriend dead, her best friend, if you will, she runs outside to see the cops are murdered. Keep in mind, everybody in the Tower Farm has left. Everybody that was at that party left. Now she sees her boyfriend's car. Michael, the car's just standing there. Here comes Jamie Lloyd. Tina, boom, the lights go on. And it's so good. And you have a chase sequence with a car. Again, Tina Williams, like I said, she's not a final girl. In Halloween 1, look how long we're with Annie and Linda. No, it's not long. And I would say Tina's is a lot longer. The Tina's time is a lot longer. But we're not dealing with a final girl here. We're dealing with somebody who's setting up to be killed because she's not been paying attention to what's gone on around her. But one time. Great character. I don't think she's a bad character, but she's not a final girl. To be a final girl, yes, you have to be stalked. She is stalked. But you also have to live. And, well, Tina Williams doesn't do that. She doesn't live. She gets killed. I think there's her best, her bravest moment to show you how much more she cares about Jamie. Michael's going to stab Jamie, and Tina runs into the knife. It doesn't get any more heroic than that. It really doesn't. And you want to see a heroic moment from a character. where they're taking a brave stand, or if not at least a brave stand, they're sacrificing themselves for another person, and that's what Tina does. She sacrifices herself for Jamie Lloyd. One of my favorite parts, though, that I feel they didn't play up enough was when they're at the Tower Farm with all the people. Michael, they have a brief scene where Michael's outside looking in. I wish they would have found a way to shoot Michael Myers in that house with all those people and them not know he's there. Like hide in a closet or have the lights go out and him hide. Again, I wouldn't have minded a higher body count, but then that's just me. But that doesn't happen. So now we get to toward the end of this, the house. The house looks very creepy. It's more of a castle style house, if you will. It's not the traditional Myers house. It's not the Myers house, that's for sure. Um, they were doing some remodeling. The how do I put this? Maybe the real estate agent said, "You know what? We'll just make the house look completely different. Maybe somebody will be stupid enough to buy it." Oh god, they're desperate to sell that house. They're really desperate to sell that house. No, but the house does look different, and I do think that I don't know why they used this house. I don't know what it was about. Again, I can see what it was about it actually, the creepiness of it, the gothic sort of feel, castle feel. It looked like a home. It was just of a serial killer, of a mass murderer. So after an attack on the hospital that Jamie Lloyd senses, you know, you have this. Now the police are going to go check that out, and then they're going to meet at the police station. By the way, we're also introduced to a character called the Man in Black in this. And when I first saw this character, I gotta tell you, I was creeped out. I thought this was the devil, but no, it wasn't. It was obviously we know it's Doctor Wayne. Um, I love how the character just walks around and you hear those shoes. It's really creepy. It's almost like I don't want to say it's like a tone or a music theme, but it has its own, how do I put this, melody to it, if you will. You can disagree if you like. But my favorite thing about the Man in Black is obviously the gunplay, the Tommy gun. My God, I wonder. I'm sort of wondering because why a Tommy gun? Is it because fictionally Haddonfield set in Illinois? Is this like I'm not saying it's a mob reference, but I mean mobsters did use Tommy guns, so that's sort of my question. Like, why out of all the guns they have him pick, and don't get me wrong, I love the decision because it's cool as hell. Um, but why a Tommy gun? Is it because of it being of Halloween fictionally being set in Illinois? Is I don't know. I honestly don't know why they picked the Tommy gun for the Man in Black. I do find that interesting that that was the weapon of choice. Because keep in mind, I mean, the film is set in the present day. I mean, you have shotguns, pistols, um, but they went with the Thompson, the Tommy gun, Tomlinson. Sorry, excellent, excellent. Again, I love the gunplay. It's really cool. But all that time in the house, the cop outside gets killed. then the Michael comes in, and he's just waiting there for Loomis to come down, and Loomis comes down and tries to trick him. Michael's not having any of it. He stabs Loomis and then shoves him into the glass. Michael makes his way up. He freaking destroys that door. I like how he's stabbing the goddamn door. We see this in H2O, by the way. We see that same thing in H2O. He's stabbing the goddamn door. But now in Halloween 2, he just hits the door with his foot. He just bursts through the door after ramming it a couple times. He just comes through. But and in Halloween 1, I think Halloween 1 to me is the best through the door because he just gets his hand through the door, it punches a hole through the door, and takes his arm and unlocks the doorknob. But again, really cool scene with Michael bursting through the door in Halloween 5, and the guy shoots him, and then he says, "Oh, let's climb down the window," and Michael bursts her and then kills this cop. I gotta tell you, one of the most terrifying sequences to me in this is when Jamie's in that little laundry chute. Oh my god, that's terrifying. That is like scary shit. And I like how they use the knife for her to like springboard up off of to go back up the laundry chute. Oh my gosh. Really, really neat. Really, really neat. Just really cool. And so to me, when you have the final climax where Danielle Harris's character is laying in a coffin, she says, "Uncle, Boogeyman, show me." You have a tear go down Michael's eye. I'd like to believe that's the last little bit of innocence that Jamie instilled in him when they touched in 4. But I just don't know. I mean, look, it's a mystery that will never be resolved, unfortunately. You can debate it all you want. Did I mind it? No. I mean, the movie's so freaking dark. To me, it just adds another dark layer. It's like, is he crying because he's upset? Is he mad? Like, because here's the thing: people can cry for many reasons. Like a tear can come out of your face for many reasons. And if somebody makes no like facial emotion the way Michael does, because he's still making no emotion, he's still got that look in his eyes. But it's like, is he doing this to trick her, or is he doing it to why the tear? And again, it's one of those psychological moments we're never going to quite understand. And I think it frustrates most fans. I mean, do I understand why? Yeah, it's weird. But again, to me, it's dark because it's like, well, dude, you've been murdering all these people. What's your niece? You murdered Rachel. You murdered Tina. You murdered. Okay, I think we could say when he murdered Michael, that was like an act of justice. When Michael Myers murdered Tina's boyfriend, that was an act of justice. And I love how Donald Pleasance, when Jamie Lloyd, Danielle Harris's character comes down, he grabs her. "I got her here. I got your little girl." And oh my gosh, Donald Pleasance, man. What an actor. What a beautiful, beautiful actor. Me and Butcher Rosenbaum, huge shout out to him. We did a video, a Western video we did last night was Will Penny. And man, Donald Pleasance in that movie, you want to talk about pure evil, plays a mad preacher or psychotic, as Butch put it. Huge shout out to him. But it's really cool to see actors play different roles, like a Donald Pleasance, and yeah, because again, I'm used to Donald. I was introduced to Donald Pleasance by the original Halloween. That's where I first saw Donald Pleasance as an actor. When I watched the original. Loomis tricks Michael. He shoots him with some tranquilizer. Beats him with a goddamn 2x4. And, eventually collapse on Michael. And Michael's sitting in jail playing with the chains. They get Jamie Lloyd out of there. And here comes the Man in Black. And again, the Tommy gun is such a nice surprise. And again, that's my question. Why a Tommy gun? Why a Tomlinson? Is it because of the Chicago connection? Is there? I guess what I'm asking is, did the prop master, the director, did they just choose the Tommy gun because where it's fictionally supposed to be set in Illinois? I don't know. I mean, to me, I wouldn't mind it if that's the reason, but that's just my question. Let's see what else. So the Man in Black goes into the police academy. He cuts down everybody with the Tomlinson. There's an explosion. The bars are melted. And when Jamie Lloyd comes in, she sees the cell's empty. She's like, no, and it goes to black, and it's over. Again, I love Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. It's really, really, really good. Again, my questions are pretty simple. Why the Tommy gun? I love the selection. Me personally, I think it has something to do with Haddonfield being fictionally set in Illinois, because mobsters use Tomlinsons, use Tommy guns. So again, some of the best things about the movies we grew up with and love is noticing something that you may have never noticed before, or just something you just didn't spot before. Like I see the mark on the wrist, like the thorn mark on the Man in Black, but I always miss it it's on the wall of the Myers house as well. I always miss that. And then when I go back and watch it, I see it. So that's cool to me. Like, okay, that's a neat little connection there. But really, really good movie. It's a fun watch. It really, really is. It's for Tina's dipshit boyfriend's death scene. Oh my god, what a scene. I'll tell you my second favorite kill on this. And it's really, really good. Is when Michael kills Spitz's girlfriend. What a scene. I love that whole sequence, really. When they're having sex and he takes the pitchfork and kills the boyfriend. And then there's her and the boyfriend. He's got that sickle. He's got the Grim Reaper weapon. What a scene. What a scene. All right, guys. I know I did not get any comments, but thank you anyway for, I think there was, 2 people in here before. Thank you to the 2 people who were in here, whoever you were. And this was a lot of fun for me to talk about Halloween 5. It's an interesting movie. I think when I look at this movie and I look at what it did, it did stay true to the Halloween formula. It kept the fate thing with Rachel and really Jamie too. I mean, where did Jamie end up? In the Myers house. In the Myers house. Somewhere she had never been before. Jamie Lloyd had never been in the Myers house. Here's a question before I leave, and I know no one's in here, but still, maybe somebody will hear this and answer this. Do you ever think that a Halloween movie, when they make the next movie, whenever they do that, they'll actually take it back to Pasadena, California? That would be interesting. I don't know if they will or not. I don't, but again, Salt Lake City was a great Haddonfield. So was Pasadena, was amazing. Even though we didn't see much of a town, I liked Canada's resurrections. Oh my god! Oh my god! Goodness. But all right, guys, you have a great night. I almost said day. Oh, it's almost 12 o'clock. And I'll see you later this week for some Dark Shadows videos. Well, later this week. Not tomorrow. No, no. I got a lot of things to do tomorrow. But you guys for those who celebrate Hanukkah, have a happy and safe Hanukkah. Have a Merry Christmas, and God bless, and stay safe.